Do they have ticks in Sweden?
Sweden has a tick problem.
What? No, they don't. Do they really?
Actually, it is a big problem. Last summer, a record number of people got tick-borne encephalitis.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah, both my grandparents died from ticks. Had to give them a closed casket funeral.
Okay, Josh, I actually have an uncle with Lyme. And believe me, if you ask him, it was not worth the pleasant picnic in the park. He's fucked.
This is the Blood and Black podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Doing pretty well. We are in the midst of a twofer on the show. Talked about this last time when we were doing our episode on... What did we do last time? Cruel Intentions.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. I forgot. Our last episode on Cruel Intentions, we talked about what we wanted to do for the show for the next 2 weeks, and we came up with a game plan of covering a newer film that's just released and also an older film by the same director, and one that you had not seen. And we've actually covered this director before as well.
That's true.
Did his other film. So I think you can surmise from that we're talking about Ari Aster. And we're covering on this episode Midsommar, his 2019 film. 2019? 4 years ago already? Good Lord. Couldn't believe that. I was like, no, this just released. Like maybe 2 years ago. No, it's 2019. It's like the same thing when we did The Lighthouse. We were like, wait, how long ago did this come out? Yeah, you've never seen Midsommar.
Yeah, but it's a film that I knew. That's where the name Ari Aster, where I knew him from, because when Midsommar came out, there are a lot of wannabe film critics saying on the social media, what a fantastic film.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problematic thing about Midsommar now, is that it has... it has kind of become the staple of like the guy who really is like a hardcore film buff, right? He's like,
Hey guys, have you ever heard of this band called Neutral Milk Hotel? You haven't? They're pretty hip and cool.
yeah, I think you nailed it. It's kind of the same, the same way that works out with the indie, or you know,
which that also makes me a phony too, because I also love Neutral Milk Hotel and I've seen it live. So.
Yeah, and it's it's not a bad thing to like those things that become the favorites, but I do have to say it kind of gets annoying, especially when you do have a film like Midsommar, where, in my opinion, I do really like it. I think it's a really, really great film. And yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of afraid to be that guy who's like, yeah, I really like Midsommar. Because I don't want people to think that my personality is immediately jumping on Letterboxd and writing a 1,500-word review about the angles employed in the movie, or the diametric, symmetry of the movie.
All those Dutch angles.
Because I'm not that person, right? I mean, I shouldn't say that. I do use Letterboxd. I use Letterboxd to just keep track of the movies that I've watched, like, so that I'm not an older man saying, wait a second, did I see that movie?
Did I watch that?
Yeah, especially the less memorable movies, but so I do use it, but I'm not like one of those people who jumps on there and has, people following them and 150 fans that are waiting for my review.
I do say it tongue-in-cheek, though, too, because, again, I get it. Because, I mean, like, that same year, The Lighthouse came out. And that's literally a film that's in the same, like, kind of vein and category.
Yep.
And, got a lot of hype and praise. And
I think the biggest thing about the hype and praise from these sorts of people is that it's hard to tell now, especially after it releases and it does get a lot of hype, whether this person is truly saying their opinion, like that's literally how they feel, or did they take that opinion from someone else and now it's become their personality, right? Like, so they saw it and they were intrigued by it or something, but then they heard that everyone thinks it's acclaimed and now they've kind of run with it, and perhaps they don't necessarily feel as outrageously in love with it as they make it out to be, but now they feel like they have to be. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's not a bother to me either way. Like, I can admit that I like it, and also I tend to stay away from just proclaiming it because I don't want to be lumped into that same category of people. The Witch is the same way, right? Like, Robert Eggers is The Witch, which we didn't do, but we talked about potentially doing at some point.
Well, we will now.
Yeah. It's the same way. Like, when that came out and the Babadook, that's literally all you heard about on Reddit, on the horror Reddit, the subreddit. That is, if I actually made a joke post on there saying, if you had to pick one, the Babadook, The Witch, or Hereditary, which one would you take?
I was gonna say The Conjuring 4.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until like when I was at Walmart the other day they had a Conjuring pack. There's already like 7 movies.
Well, it's an extended universe now.
I know.
You've got all the Annabelles. They technically fit into the Conjuring universe, stuff like that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, oh, that's awful. So yeah, I can see why if you're like a fan of like the genre, you're like, oh, the fucking Midsommar, great. This is great. Oh, whatever Jordan Peele's doing, great. Oh, this is great.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so like, I don't want to be a snob or anything. If you like Midsommar, great. Glad you enjoyed it. It just has gotten a lot of praise, and it's kind of like it's become sort of embarrassing to have to be able to like say, yeah, I really like that movie. Or this is kind of the same with Hereditary too. You have people who expound upon the revelations of Hereditary and Midsommar, and yep, I think they're both great movies. I think they did a really good job. Are they the best movies of like the past 50 years? I don't know. It's up for debate. With that said, though, let's take a break for a second. Talk about the beer that we have on the show. And I kind of feel bad about this one. It's a repeat brewery. We literally just had them on the show last week.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad.
We're trying to be sponsored. We're reaching out there. We're being ambassadors. Because Jenny passed us up on the ambassadorship program.
Did they?
No, I don't know. I didn't hear anything back about it. But
well, maybe it's still being processed.
Maybe it is.
I was just throwing that away. We could, maybe they were getting ready to file that right now, and they're like, wait, hold on.
Yep. Well, we have another beer on the show today from Treehouse Brewing, which, you know what? You can never have too many Treehouse beers. I don't think. It is on Untapped, I think, the #1 brewery for with all of its beer ratings.
Oh, really?
I believe so. That's what I saw. Or at least it has the #1 IPA. I can't remember. But anyway, can't go wrong with Treehouse. We had them last time, but it was a completely different type of beer. So this time we thought we'd go, instead of an IPA, which I think we've had quite a bit recently, going with their house lager. But it's not just the house lager. We wouldn't go so plain. It's a house lager with lime that was stored in tequila barrels. So you get the nice crispness of their lager, get a nice little lime bite, and you've got the tequila flavoring that kind of makes this taste like a beer margarita. So we did a beer mimosa last time. I'm doing a beer margarita this time. Are you a fan of margaritas?
The Bud Light margaritas.
No.
Do they still make those?
That doesn't count. No, I've never. How about the Bud Light Clamato?
They're still working for it because people buy it.
Oh, I know there is. Yeah.
I've never really had like
a straight up margarita.
Yeah, I don't think I really ever have.
Wow. I'll have to make you one. We got the triple sec over here. We got some limes. We got tequila. We got the rocks tequila, actually, I believe. I bought it. I didn't even realize it was a rocks tequila, but yeah, we have the rocks tequila. And yeah, we'll have to make it. I'll salt you up the rim and everything.
Ooh. Yeah, I've never really sat down and had one.
I mean, if you like this beer, I think you'd enjoy. This beer is like a toned down margarita, in my opinion. You know, margarita is similar to this, but it's stronger. You know, it has that tequila flavor, and if you like tequila, you're gonna like a margarita because it's a nice treat with the lime. So with this one, I think, like I said, I think this does come close to being a margarita-esque beer. You do have a nice crisp lager flavor here. And the tequila is probably the second thing that comes out right away. You do get a nice tequila flavor to it. At the same time, it's not overpowering. This is not an heavy alcohol beer either. It only clocks in at like 4.7% ABV. So it's not like this is going to be like a 10%er or something like that. It's a nice, light, refreshing, drinkable beer, crushable beer, probably. And you also get that nice little hint of lime at the end, which is giving you that summertime, easy living sort of style to it, which, you know, perfect for a lawnmower drinking beer.
Just like how temperature is going to be dropping down. Into,
yeah, perfect time to be drinking it when it's 40 degrees outside.
Hey, we just had an 80-degree day, but it's upstate New York, so here's your 30.
We're getting snow now. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I like this. I thought I would like it a little bit more, but I mean, I think it's just a really solid brew all around. The tequila element to it, I think it makes this really nice. And it is very drinkable, very crushable. And the one thing that I'll say, and I think you'll agree and you'll also put in your opinion about this, but this only comes in a 4-pack. And with a 4-pack, it's like $16. And that 4-pack is a 12-ounce can. So that's the big downside to this beer, is that it is expensive for what you get. And ultimately, for a 12-ounce can, in a style like this, that's 4.7%, really light on the ABV, I would have expected a 6-pack for that price.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as much as I kind of mull over and kind of think in my head whether or not I've had a margarita before, I've had margarita flavored things, and like obviously the Bud Light margarita and stuff. It's something I know I'd like, but I just never really go out of my way for mixed drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and tequila and lime is always a nice choice, and lime in a light lager is even a better choice. This works really well, and it's done really well. The light lager itself is very good. Does have a nice like crisp flavor to it. You know, you do get a little bit of malt. Very crisp, refreshing, easy to drink. Kind of reminds me of like Founder Solid Gold, which is a really good, you know, light lager. The lime is get in the front and the back. It's like actually tastes like a real lime and not like a, you know, even though I do enjoy a Bud Light lime here or there, the lime in there is very sugary and sweet and candy. Yeah, an artificial. This lime is definitely more real, kind of more zesty, a little bit more rindy. The tequila part is great in this though, because that, even though this thing's at 4.5%, that tequila heat is there, and when you drink this, you do get like a nice like kind of feeling that you take, like you took a shot of tequila, like because your lungs are like, ooh, that's nice heat right there, you know, to go with it. Nice little pep.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very good beer. This is like a good, I shouldn't say good. This is like a great, if you were like out on the beach playing volleyball with your friends, you know, grilling some burgers and sausages and brats. Ball game's about to come on. Sterling's making the call for the Yankees. And you listen to the radio. You're having a dandy time. The only problem is, as you said, and this is the biggest negative takeaway on it, for $16 for a 4-pack and it's in 12-ounce cans is that's a fucking travesty.
Yeah.
I don't know what the markup is.
Right.
I'd like the tequila barrels they use to age this thing. But fuck me. That's like the biggest sin of this thing at all. Because as you said, you either make it a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans or you make it a 6-pack of 12-ounce. I would say preferably a 4-pack of the 16-ounce. But I mean, it's still either way. It's not good. It's not bueno. As good as it is, I can't recommend you going, blowing up a paycheck to keep your fridge stocked with these.
Yeah, I don't, like you said, I don't know what their cost balance is for this beer, so maybe that's one of the reasons. But you would think brewing a house lager, they've already probably got the house lager. It's not like it's a different beer they're going to brew too. This is something that they routinely brew. So
not only that, the canning on it, like for the label, is chintzy as shit compared to like the rest of them. Like the rest of theirs, like have these nice ornate, like beautiful labels. Mm-hmm. This one has just like house. Like
yeah. So it does feel like you're getting shafted a little bit by only getting the 4-pack of the 12-ounce, but I don't know. I would still I think they probably do a rotation of these types of house lagers, and I would check this out again and see what else they do. And also one caveat too, that is kind of annoying. If you are getting the house lager, you can only get one per person when you're there. So you can't you can't order 2 or 3 of these if you want to supplement only getting 4. If you want to make it a 12-pack by ordering 3, too bad. You can't. You can only order 1 per person. And even if you're picking up for someone else, like you wanted to get 1 for yourself and 1 for someone else, nope, 1 per person. So keep that in mind if you're actually going to go to Treehouse and get it. All right. Let's talk about Midsommar. You know what? This is a movie that I really did want to talk about. It's another one of those movies like The Lighthouse where I feel like there's a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to bring up, and it is difficult to find out where to start. But I think in my case, I know where I want to start, and I want to start right at the beginning. Because for me, Midsommar's beginning is a pretty harrowing experience. I think that it does a very good job of setting up the themes of the movie without really telling you what the themes of the movie are going to be. Because you really don't know. If you didn't come into this movie, let's say you didn't hear about it at all, you were just seeing it for the first time, I feel like going into the beginning of this movie, you get the themes thrown at you, but you're really not sure where it's all going to go because it's about this Midsummer festival, but the opening doesn't really make that apparent. I guess, what did you think about the opening first? I'll let you go ahead and then I'll segue in.
It was all right. I didn't really think too much of it. Has kind of like a stereotypical, well, not in what happens to her family, but just like kind of set up of like, just like, oh, it's eerie, things are weird, and don't know what's going on. You can kind of see as you're watching this, with Hereditary, the whole crux of the film being, this idea of like mental illness, but also, with demons. They throw it. Well, Ari Aster puts out there front and center that our protagonist is going to be, somebody who's bipolar and also has, their own mental illness. It was all right. I think the chilling aspect that you were talking about, I didn't really get a full effect of because you watched this at night. I watched this in day, and I had an awful fucking glare for the opening part. So yeah, I was like, "What's going on there?" Like, so I kind of, until like the lightning like kind of hit, and then like you see like, oh, she's got like a tube shoved in her goddamn mouth. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, I guess, so, like, what I really like about this moment, this scene, is, first of all, you get that opening shot of slowly going to the house, and you get the phone call that she makes to her parents, and you see her parents in bed, and everything looks great. It's obviously late at night, they're sleeping, phone goes to voicemail, and you just hear her saying, "You know what? I'm worried. Talked to my sister, and she sounded kind of weird. So I just want to check on you." And then the film goes through this really great sequence of showing Florence Pugh and how, like, she's so upset, and it does a really great job of setting up that sense of dread. There's just a pervading sense of dread throughout this opening moment, and it kind of holds off on you. It kind of, you kind of get normalcy at times. You get her calling Christian and saying, "You know what? I guess maybe I am overreacting," and she's kind of going back and forth between whether she actually wants to talk to him or not, because she feels like she leans on him too much anyway. But then, like, it hits you, like, you segue away, and you find out that she's gone to the house, and they know that she's found out that they're actually all dead, that her sister has basically started the car, rolled down all the garage doors. Not only that, but ran like hose into the house, into her parents' bedroom, locked it all up, and then basically sucked on the hose herself, stuck it in her mouth, so that there was like no way that she was ever, gonna get out of that one. And it has this really nice creep, as though we're like part of the EMT crew that are coming into this house and having to basically like see this scene of how this is posed. And I think it does a really great job of showing the morbidity of this moment and a realness to something that I think doesn't happen a lot in movies, the realness of the crime scene, or the realness of murder, or even death, like seeing the posthumous death. In a lot of movies, and I think I might have talked about this in Hereditary too, a lot of movies kind of shy away from the element of showing how the seriousness of death. So the murder scene is kind of shown, but you get like guys cracking wise, like a CSI Miami type thing. But in
or a Halloween movie about like, I can't wait to fuck the cadaver,
right? Or even in other horror movies too, the act of death there is almost like catharsis for the audience. It's not really meant to be a serious moment. It's a lot of times in slasher movies, it's in our eyes completely warranted, because these guys suck. The characters suck, but in this case, you have this very real and grim and disturbing posing of the corpses, and that zoom in to the messages, where we know that Florence Pugh is going to live with this grief of perhaps not doing what she thinks she should have done to check on them before the inevitable occurred. She couldn't have done anything, because at that time her message makes more sense. She's going dark, right?
Well,
literally.
It's her fault. She said she was emailing her family. Who the fuck?
Yeah.
That was the scariest part. Who's emailing their family? I sent over a hotmail email to my sister. She's not responding.
Yeah.
I got on MSN Messenger. Nothing. Ain't hearing. No, you're right, because in this, as the film kind of goes on to this film and in Hereditary too, Ari Aster does do a really good job in the payoffs when it comes to the death and the violence. It's something that's worked up to. It's something it's earned. It's not bashing you over the head with gratuity, like when we just did the new Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Obviously that's kind of the Evil Dead shtick. To the point where it's gruesome and kind of comedic. But Ari Aster, at least in these two films, is very patient, works up to those moments,
right?
And gives you something that's horrific, nerve-wracking, but also, like, as you said, like, framed in a way that's like, oh yeah, like, wow, that's actually puts you in a place of like, holy shit,
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but like, I think too, between Hereditary and this, we have to deal as the audience. We have to deal with the aftermath too, right? Like, no, in a murder movie or a slasher, you're not there later on when the cops are like, yeah, your loved one was chopped up into 15 pieces. You're not there for that because you can kind of forget about the aftermath because it's not relevant at that point. Like the heroine has won, the final girl has won. You don't have to deal with the aftermath. But both Hereditary and Midsommar force you to deal with the aftermath. And in this case, directly after the aftermath. I mean, Hereditary does too. You get the grisly reveal, but in this one,
say the decapitation and
yeah,
the aftermath of it. And here it's
you have to kind of live through Florence Pugh's grief here. You have to, and it's really, she does a great job. Like, it's very disconcerting because especially for me too, I don't deal with grief very well, especially from other people. And this movie kind of resonates with me too, as we'll talk about, because of empathy or lack thereof, or having empathy but not really knowing how to express it is something that I often have a hard time dealing with. And I think that opening scene, like, it's so difficult because it kind of does put you in that situation of, you're an outsider, but you are dealing with the grief that Florence Pugh's feeling. And you just see them keeled over, literally, like, physically in pain. And it's very wrenching, I would say, opening scene. And then you have that zoom into the fluttering snow that lasts for quite a while. And I question that. Why does the snow last for so long? And to me, it kind of signals the end of the movie. Snow into ashes. It kind of has that sort of like reciprocity of this is what we're going to be seeing. So I like, if nothing else, of Midsommar. If you don't like anything else about Midsommar, I do think that the opening itself is one of the best moments that you get from this film. It's just very, very chilling and very packed with detail. So then you kind of move on. Things get kind of normal, and you kind of find that Florence Pugh's character Danny and Christian, she's still dealing with the grief. Obviously, she actually, I should say, not dealing with it. Anytime family's mentioned, she packs up her shit and leaves. Basically packs a suitcase, moves to France. Anytime family's mentioned. But you kind of get this feeling that, the relationship between Danny and Christian is strained already, like right off the bat. And we're not really sure right now. Is it because Danny's just dealing with the grief and, it's just kind of this pivotal role in their relationship?
Well, we get in the opening too, him, talking with his friends about he wants to break up with her.
Yeah. Or is kind of questioning whether he should or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it does feel like she's become a little bit overbearing. She relies on him to be the emotional support and relies a little bit too much. And you have that, like, again, that I think there's two different elements to these characters, right? Like, so Danny is really an emotional person. She really needs that support. Christian, perhaps not so much. And I do feel like the film sets up this element of differential relationships and personalities in relationships. Christian is just not that person to be able to deliver the empathetic ear that Danny needs. He tries, and I think the film does show that. It's not like Christian is really like aloof and not trying to be that person, but at the same time, he's just not. And so the film kind of goes back and forth about this sense of empathy. Can Christian be that person that empathizes, or is he not the right person for Danny to be able to do that?
See, I'm going to disagree with you. I think it's not just when he gets to Sweden. He's a total douchebag throughout.
I agree to a certain extent. That there's, yeah. I mean,
he is a cold fish the entire time, and very just really bad at it. Like, you can tell, especially even after the death, like, he's there essentially not because he's trying, like, you know, to help her. He's there because, like, well, fuck, I was going to break up with her, and then her family dies.
Right.
You have to stick around for a little bit.
Yeah. I
because again, even before they get to Sweden and all that, she's like, you're going to Sweden? And he's like, you know,
yeah, that's a really uncomfortable moment too.
Yeah.
Where she's at the party and literally like deer in the headlights staring at Mark. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? You're going to Sweden?
Like, you know, so he's already mentally like packed his bags, probably viewing going to Sweden. Like, I'm going to start anew. I'm going to go and fuck some Swedish broads, you know, and then come back a new man, and I'll have the balls to finally be like, listen, this ain't working. I'm sorry what happened, but, you know, I can't deal with this anymore because it's not good for my own mental health. But he's, you know, along for the ride because he's trying to be a good soldier. But at the same time, that's not going to ever work, because if you're, you know, if somebody needs emotional support and you're there like, well, I'm suck it up.
Yeah, I mean,
that, you know, they're not really helping you out. And if, you know, if that's the best advice they kind of have to give or support they can give, you don't need them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I do think that Christian himself is just not, you know, he's not the greatest boyfriend, and you do get that. Like he forgets their birthday, and then he kind of comes up with the time change and the took shrooms. Yeah.
What do you want from me, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, you do get that. But I do think again that the film is kind of drawing, especially with the themes later on in the movie, and the way that this cult, they work, is that you're kind of supposed to see that Danny and Christian, even if he kind of is an asshole at times, they're just not meant to be together because he fundamentally cannot empathize in the same way that she needs him to. And that is what the cult provides, with the way that they kind of have this almost psychic, emotional connection with each other that they can share in the suffering and pain that we see, the orgasmic pleasure of the film's later sex scene. They share in that, and that is something that Danny has been missing because no one can share in that pain and grief that she has. And I think ultimately that is what Midsommar is coming to. And I think Ari Aster previously described this movie as like a horror breakup movie, and you know that's pretty much what it is. But it does come to the fact that, you know, sometimes the people that we align with, they literally cannot share in that grief like you need. And I think that that's what this movie is showing quite a bit. But the way that the film goes about showing how their relationship is separating throughout the 2.5 hours in the theatrical cut, is a really great sort of slow burn to show how they keep separating, how like these things get in the way, and they give each other like these, you know, side glances while they're not able to speak to each other. They keep getting pulled away from each other. I really like how Ari Aster does that, of, you know, showing them silently staring at each other like we need to talk about this, and yet we literally cannot talk about this because people keep pulling us away from each other. It's really great. But we're treated to a nice a shrooms hallucination once they get over to Sweden. They get there, it's got to be later in the day, even though we don't know what time it is, because like they end up talking about what time it is, and it's 9 p.m. They take the shrooms, and I really like how they're all really excited to take the shrooms, and then all of a sudden they're like, fucking sacked out on the hill, but all having like bad trips. Mark in particular, but a guy that's kind of like outspoken throughout, and you know he's like, everybody should lay on the grass. Josh, I need you to lay on the grass. It's hilarious. Like that idea of taking mushrooms, and going through a bad trip kind of resonates with me because, even doing weed, sometimes I get like an anxiety attack. So I can't imagine what it's like to do fucking hallucinogenic.
Yeah, no thanks.
I feel like I would be in a bad place. I don't
have the mindset.
I know. I know myself.
I tell people that all the time. It's like, I'm not as anxiety riddled as I used to be, but I'm still too fucking anxiety riddled to be going down that rabbit hole.
I know. You get in that one mindset and then 4 hours of extreme terror.
and part of your mind's forever rotted off because you got locked into that.
Yeah. No thanks. I think I'll pass on that. And they kind of bring that up in this movie too. Like Danny, she's just having a fine trip. She's kind of like relaxed. And then all of a sudden, they mention family, and she fucking runs off into the woods, runs into the outhouse, and has like a hallucination of her. I think it's her dad behind her in the outhouse when she flicks the match. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could see it with your glare. It's a great moment of like just a nice little jump scare without the sting that you get real quick. I like that a lot. And then I like too how the Ari Aster shoots like the trip, because it's not like your traditional like, ooh, there's rainbow spirals in the background and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like shimmering kaleidoscope.
Bro, but it is kind of like GTA when you get drunk and everything's super
yeah, like the aspect of it is kind of going in and out, and you're kind of getting like zooms and stuff that you don't really recognize. Later on, when they do the trip again, when they're drinking that hallucinogenic drink, you get that really great effect on the flowers and the grass, where it's kind of like moving, it's kind of a weird trippy effect that they did. Looks like the flowers are kind of like moving and shifting and pulsing, almost like a Cronenbergian sort of like movement to it. I really like that. So yeah, they go through this trip, eventually get to this I call it a cult. It's a
I was laughing my ass off when the one guy was like, "What are we in fucking Waco?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. But basically, it's a Swedish community. They're a communal place, and they're having their Midsommar festival. And that's
all. They all wear white. They all drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And I guess the thing too to note is that this movie does draw on real Norwegian traditions or purported. Well, yes, correct. Swedish in the film, but like Norwegian in general. Like the Ættestupen that they talk about is actually Norwegian and purported to actually have taken place at some point, like, in ritualistic past. But like it does, it has that sort of idea of anthropology, right? Because Josh in particular is really interested in anthropology of these clans.
Well, they're both right. They're all right in their thesis.
Yeah, technically, right? But Christian himself specifies at the beginning of the movie he really doesn't have a thesis. He doesn't know what his is.
He piggybacks because he's shit.
He's a little shit. Yeah, I do. There's that scene where he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to write my thesis on Horga. And Josh is like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
He's like, I'm doing mine on. I'm already doing that. He's like, no, you're doing yours on Midsommar, which is like you got to visit like a bunch of different European countries. I am doing it specifically on this.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I definitely.
I'd say Christian's devolution in this film is great. Just watching him become like a shitbag, but it's not like a cartoonish shitbag.
Nope.
It's like a realistic, wow, this person's fucking just becoming a piece of shit.
Yeah, and like you can see that with Josh too. It's a great moment when he confronts him and he's like, "No, I'm not going to collaborate with you. Like this is you just had this idea right now." But yeah, they're all studying anthropology, and this kind of brings up an interesting idea too about it. Not technically, this film doesn't really have a take on that or anything like that. It's not like it's specifically inspired by. But, Cannibal Holocaust is another one of those movies that you can bring up that sort of sits in the same realm as Midsommar, where you have people who set out to document the traditions of a tribe, and they find out things that they really probably didn't want to know about or shouldn't have known about. And the problematic elements of going to those places and interfering in those traditions. And I think Midsommar does bring that up a bit too. It does treat its cult a little bit more malevolent than I think
I was gonna say
expected.
I will say they're not really like it's not like Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, I haven't seen my. I know it's not like Cannibal Holocaust though, where they're kind of interloping. They've been brought first,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They've been brought there. I do feel though like there's some bad anthropology here at play. Like they're all in some ways they are interlopers. Like Josh is trying to sneak in and get a picture of their Ruby Raider, whatever it's called, when he's been explicitly told not to. Or Mark obviously doesn't understand their fucking traditions at all.
Well, that's why they're grad students and not
right. But like you do get that element of bad anthropology of like they are outsiders to this cult and they don't understand it, and in some ways they don't make the effort to understand it.
No, they're incredibly bored for almost the entire thing, and then when things start to go ass backwards, they're very just like what the hell is going on,
right?
Right. But granted, I'm not saying they have to be like, oh, we appreciate your elders fucking throwing themselves off a cliff onto a rock. Not saying you have to do that, but I mean, they were checked out on the whole thing to begin with. Like, they're just kind of there because, like,
Right. And I think, like, that's another thing that I think is at play in the themes of Midsommar, and why we do find that Danny is able to assimilate later on, besides the emotion element, the grief element, and the absence of family that she feels. You also have her, becoming the May Queen because she does kind of assimilate into this cult, and she kind of, she might not like it, like especially in the beginning, like you said, with at the stoop and where they throw themselves off the cliff. She's obviously horrified, right? And she wants to leave, but at the same time, she doesn't interfere in the workings of the ritual, and I think that's part of the reason why she is accepted into this cult later on, and why we do see that, like, what's his name? Is it the fuck's the guy's name that brings them there? Pele, yeah, Pele. Why Pele is immediately drawn to her because he kind of sees that she's going to be accepting of what she understands. She's going to understand what they do. And I think that that's kind of why she's drawn into this, because she allows the ritualistic elements to continue and kind of participates in them. The others are very outsider-esque, and they want to understand it, but they don't actually try to participate or try to respect the cult and the rituals that they perform. Which is why bad things happened.
What, man? I just pissed on a tree.
Yeah.
It's the ancient ceremonial tree that stores all the souls of the dead. It's just a tree, man.
Yeah.
Which shame on that guy. Really, you gotta take a piss. Like, usually the rule of thumb is you gotta like go
right, take a piss 15 feet into the woods.
Yeah, you go like you go into the woods, like, so you just shame of having onlookers in there. He just like goes right up to the tree outside, like we're eating dinner, and piss the ground.
Right. If you had to take a shit, would you just pop a squat right there in the middle of the field? And don't think so. Yeah, no. Obviously, like, who would really like just be like, oh, there's a dead tree here in the middle of the field?
This big fucking tree that's stranded, like, like, oh, that can't be important. Why would they keep this tree around? Oh,
yep. Yeah, I mean, I think we do see like a total misunderstanding of their rituals, and while, you know, we don't have to like the fact that they force people to jump off cliffs when they reach a certain age, and they are intentionally creating incestual babies to become seers or oracles. Yeah. You kind of, you have to understand like the ritualistic element of various cultures, and that's anthropology in some capacity, and they interfere.
Gets hit in the head with a mallet.
Absolutely, yeah. And not only that, but the other guy gets fucking his eyes gouged out, filled with flowers, his lungs pulled out of him and strung up, and he's technically still breathing, apparently, as we see later on in that movie. It's pretty grisly for that guy. So, like I was saying, I don't like, we're not meant to see this cult as completely benevolent. Like they definitely are malevolent. They are inviting people here under the auspices that they are just going to experience this special thing in their culture, and instead they are the sacrifices for the greater good of the culture. So it's not like they're benevolent people. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about like how Midsommar treats the tribe or the cult?
The same way I would if I was watching the Wicker Man.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of goddamn goofballs. Like that, you know, need to be talked to. Because again, like, if you're to sit here and say, well, if it's the way things are, like, I mean, there is a line, you know.
That's what I was going to ask. Where is the line? Who draws the line?
Well, that's up for personal interpretation of, like, you know, where your personal line is, like, you know, on what's acceptable behavior and what's not, you know, what's acceptably culturally and not. Again, like, there is merit to saying, like, you should respect other people's, you know, views and culture. But at the same time, like, there are always going to be parts where it's not going to compute because of whether or not they're agree. Again, because who determines egregious, who doesn't, you know, doesn't. That's all based in your own morality and your own, you know, things that you know, grew up culturally with. So, I mean, there is, like I said, there's merit to the whole idea of, you know, having an understanding. There's always going to be a line depending on who you are and where you're from on what's acceptable and what's not. You know, saying to have your 72-year-olds throw themselves off a cliff because, well, if they get to 75, they're going to get prostate cancer and it's going to be miserable for them. You know, it's not something I'm going to be like, well, you know, they got a point.
Yeah, how about that? Let's say that this cult did not invite new people in to murder. Would that be acceptable in this cult if everybody in their cult is aligned with the fact that this is what they do? When you're 72, you have this honor of throwing yourself off the cliff and for the greater good of the culture. And, you know, you have this Midsommar festival where you get to sacrifice some people and they volunteer. What about that? Would that be an acceptable society that they partake in?
At least, I mean, for me, no. Because, I mean, again, like, I mean, if you wanted to choose to, like if you were, like, terminally ill with cancer, you decide to, like, well, not terminally ill, but close to it, and you decide to, like, I don't want to go through the treatment because I'm old enough, it's not going to be good. I'm just going to ride it out and go. There's a line there. You still, you know, these are people who could still be in very good health, have another 30 years left in them. Yeah, they're sweets for God's sake. So, you know,
they do look hale and hearty.
Yeah, so, you know? Yeah. So, you know,
one guy has a ferocious piece of hair on his head.
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah, no, I
mean, I was saying it is an interesting question, but I mean, again, at the same time,
And honestly,
especially because we're so far off from like this kind of existing in, especially in Western civilization. It's very hard to relate to. I think you're going to be hard to find people who would watch this and be like,
yeah, no,
it's got it made.
And I don't think that the film is trying to make that distinction as well. I just kind of wanted to play devil's advocate of like where does anthropology stand with where you cross the line, where you obviously don't participate in the rituals, but you allow them, or you don't allow them because they cross the line of what a good society or what we deem a good society should do. It's just an interesting question to ponder. I don't think the movie is trying to make that distinction, though. I do think that the movie is showing you, look what's happening in this cult. And I think at the end, it doesn't make it explicit, but at the end, you see that guy, who has been volunteered to be sacrificed in the burning building, and he is looking a little bit scared.
And he's the only one to scream out in pain, terror when he's being burned alive.
Exactly. You kind of have that idea that like, is everyone okay with this? Or
I would say it's kind of like a poor version of like Star Trek's The Prime Directive of non-interference in cultures that aren't ready for space travel because you don't want to contaminate them. You want them, So even if like a star's about to go nova, you don't interfere because can't do it. And we kind of get to see that a little bit because Christian, when we see Danny being like, this is fucking barbaric and horrible, Christian's like, give me a little bit more understanding, all right? As he's drinking his hippie tea.
And eating a meat pie filled with
pubes
and drinking a glass of urine beer or whatever they get served there, urine cider. I mean...
Is that what that is?
Yeah, because you see that pennant at the beginning of the movie where they kind of flow over it, where they talk about like their mating ritual. And you see them kind of go through the process, and she's cutting off her pubes, and then she's putting it in a pie, and then she's pissing in a glass. So you're standing over it and pissing in the glass. That's why his glass looks darker. If you look, and again,
she needs to be hydrated better.
Right. And again, you talked about this to me outside of the show. You said the first act is pretty slow and kind of a slog, and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. And I said, I think it's more rewarding on your second or third or your subsequent watch, because now you know what you're looking for. And I think when you first watch the movie, you're really not sure what you're looking for.
Yeah, there's little details. I agree, but I still think the film does. The first act is a slog. The first hour of this film, it's not bad, but like there's little moments of like you said, like the opening's good, but I mean there's a lot of like little shit that's like the Wicker Man did in like 10 minutes, and this thing's taking an hour to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't disagree.
Obviously, it pays off as we watch it, and the film starts to move. But I'm not saying like showing all these things that are going on at this Midsommar festival and the call. It's all good and stuff, but like, again, like a lot of like the inner trappings and character development they're showing with these people, like Danny's friend group. It's all really trite and mealy mouth because it's just there to kind of like build a tension that doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the most part, well, not for the most part, the party is there to get wiped out. And then really the interest should be Danny's growth and Christian's like fall into being a douchebag. But it takes forever to kind of like be interesting. And once things like, after like, the ritual suicide, things start to pick up and everything that's going on starts to, it's building and it builds and it builds. But that, like I said, that first hour can be pretty tedious.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a slowness to it. I found that it was definitely more rewarding watching it the second time and looking for those details that are there because you've seen the movie and you know what happens at the end. So you're looking for those things that occur, and I think it does work better because those details are apparent to you now. So it is more rewarding and it doesn't feel as slow. I didn't really find it to be slow this time, but I think I agree. I think I found it a little bit slower when I watched it the first time. So it is interesting how you can kind of come back to this and find it more rewarding. The one thing I will say is just I haven't seen the director's cut, but reading the information about the director's cut and the differences between that and the theatrical cut, which we watched, it sounds like the director's cut is way too explicit, and it adds, about 23, 24 minutes of footage that I really think is extraneous to this movie, because it is just too explicit and almost force feeds the viewer information that we should be able to get naturally without being explicitly told that this thing is happening or that the relationship is on the rocks or
because if you can't figure that out,
yeah, I think it works. I think it works so much better when you're given the more implicit conversations, the side glances, the things that are really realistic to a relationship that is kind of going south, that just doesn't feel like it used to. And I think that works more in the theatrical cut. And I can imagine that, just adding like 27 more minutes or however long it is would just make this feel even longer unnecessarily. So I think that theatrical cut is the way to go, and I do think it's rewarding if you've seen it before, but I can see why you might think that it would be kind of slow for the first time.
At the same time, I'm pretty sure it's been a year now. I think I had that same critique with Hereditary, that it felt like a long time to build up, but once, like you said, once you get that payoff that it's building to, it was like, holy shit,
right?
And then it went moving.
Would you say that
slowly, but it's still, working to the next payoff?
Would you say that the payoff is like the Atastupen, where they jump off the cliff? Like that's
because again, it just seems like, a goofball commune, like, oh, everyone's friendly and living in this commune and so nice.
Doing mushrooms and
like everything's really weird and stuff, but it's different and it's new, and all of a sudden, they're throwing themselves,
and not just throwing them off, they're like smashing into the ground, and if they don't smash into the ground and kill themselves,
when she hits after she cuts herself and puts the blood on the road and then dies, or the way her face smashes into it, and the fact is great because it's like, holy, it's brutal as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the dude does it, he jumps legs first, so he doesn't even die. He just breaks his legs, and they're like violently broken. And as he's, as they're violently broken, like it's like preteens are just making fun of him essentially. Like, I know the point is like they're supposed to be like laughing, but also agonizing too, because they're feeling his pain, and as they're all like, writhing about like a bunch of Quakers, the old man with the mallet walks up and just smashes his head in, because they're like, well, this happens sometimes, sometimes they jump and they don't die, and you gotta,
yeah, like, because you
gotta mercy kill them.
You can tell that they were expecting it because they brought the big mallet. You're like, yeah, no, this has happened before. Yeah, no one coaches them either. They're not like, hey, probably a good idea to not just dive right legs first, because it's gonna be a bad time.
And he misses the table to land on, like the landing spot to smash himself. He just boom right into the ground.
Yeah, it does have a grisly comedicness to it, but like what I like too is with the mallet, there's no like excessive element to the mallet. There's not like close-up shots of the mallet. You just see him smack the head, and you just get like that nice like, no like ridiculous meat squelching fake Foley effects or anything like that. just a nice little, realistic, like, yep, that guy just had his melon smashed in. And not only that, but they have to do it like 3 times. And then you get those nice close-ups later on of just seeing like the absolute melted faces.
Yeah, it's just like, it's really brutal and horrific and just great.
Yep. I think it does it really well. And, not only that, like the film does have a nice brutality to it. Like you said, that's not over the top like Evil Dead Rise, where it's just like gore for gore's sake and like, hey, how far can we push the buttons of like having a cheese grater and stuff like that on a leg? This is like, more realistic gore of just like, that's horrific, and uncomfortable. And not only that, but like a lot of it is a lot of body horror too. Cronenberg would be proud. Later on, when you see, some of the other people that have already been killed, you have like the one guy that's been turned into like a fruit basket. Basically he's got like apples and stuff. He's like an edible fruit basket, apples and stuff in his gut, and no arms, and just like straw for arms and legs and stuff. That's great. Or when you have you think it's Mark in the chapel or whatever you want to call it, and it turns out to be the incestual oracle who's got Mark's face on, like Leatherface.
Which is hilarious too, because when Christian's asking him about like, well, how do you
incest,
there's gonna be a lot of incest. Like, no, there's no incest. We stretch it out, and then when Josh is asking, he's like, yes, we, because he's like, well, your oracle is
disabled. Yeah,
he's a monstrosity.
He's a monster. I don't think he says it like that, but yeah.
How do you like get to there? Like, he's like, well, how do you like? Do you just wait for somebody to pop out? And they're like, no, we make sure we fuck our sister to get there,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
yeah. He's like, I do like too how that affects Josh too, because then you see them at dinner and he's kind of just like staring off into space, thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, because the film does, again, a really good job. It may be slow, but it does a good job with the characters of showing how they're affected by being here, how their entire worldview has like shifted. Because you can just see like the hauntedness of them sitting at dinner. Like,
how would you feel if you ran into a group of people and like, yes, our oracle that tells us how to live our life is the product of my cousin fucking his sister.
No, I mean, I agree. I probably would be like that too, but I mean, I think that the film does a really good job of showing it, showing how they're affected and just kind of taking it all in. And I like that too. Like, this fucking kid is scribbling on pages, like totally nonsensical, incoherent. All you could see, like, some of the pages are just like fucking paint on.
Yeah, just smatterings, like,
and they're like, oh, yes, he means piss in the glass and feed it to your mate, your future mate. It is great. But I like, do you think that's kind of a play on religion as well? That we're like, the Bible is at the whims of some fucking random people in the past that you have to.
Not as much, because I mean, see, this is where I think, like, well, I mean, it's mainly the crux of Wicker Man, because it's not just like, pagan goofballs running around. It's modernity versus old, Christianity versus paganism. Here, the religious aspects, I would say, it's void. It's just mainly what these people, the cult is experiencing, what their religiosity is, because the characters here, and I don't think it's mean to be like, oh, these are supposed to be cultured atheists. I don't think that's what we're getting at with that, because I just think it's not something that Ari Aster is really interested in kind of addressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a focal point.
Yeah, I just think I found it interesting. Like, you can draw parallels of just having an incestuous kid make your religion up for you as it goes along, and the Bible, but especially if you're atheist, there's kind of a inherent comedy in that. How do you feel about like the May Queen element of Danny becoming the May Queen as she's kind of railed against this cult for so long? What do you think about that?
It's great because it's like literally showing the wear down. Like, as they're doing the whole maypole dance thing. It's literally showing her being worn down, and as she's going through and doing this dance and going on and on, she's enduring, but at the same time she's giving in to what's going on, and all around her, yes, she's embracing it. It's I do think that works really well, the whole maypole dancing bit.
Yeah, like
it's a nice like I said, it's a nice parallel.
It's like fucking musical chairs, but with people dancing around. I love seeing like that one time when the fucking girl gets clotheslined by Florence Pugh, and she's like, "What?" All right, I'm out, I guess. Just got clotheslined by you.
With Frau Verbissina basically sitting there like, stop.
Yeah. But like the parallels to the Wicker Man in some elements of this movie are like right there. Yeah. I mean, like, there is that whole dancing scene in the Wicker Man, and the burning at the end of the movie and things like that. It's very, very Wicker Man-esque. But I do think that it goes in a different direction than the Wicker Man does. There is the element of the Wicker Man has a really downbeat ending. It's this movie, I guess you could see it as downbeat. You could see it as triumphant too.
I'd say it's down.
I think it's downbeat, but at the same time, I think at a certain point we're like, you know what, Danny? Understandable. Been through a lot of shit. You got roped into a cult, but you know what? You found your people. So good for you.
I think part of the problem with the film though is because it does introduce the point that not only has she gone through a traumatizing event, but they put out there like, well, hold on, maybe I'm misinterpreting. Is it that she's got bipolar or that her sister has bipolar?
No. Yeah, I don't think that they're really saying that that Danny has bipolar. They're saying that her sister does, and the fact that she's having to consistently deal with that is just causing an emotional strain on all of them.
Okay, so if if that's the case, I would say one of the things that's kind of like, because the way I mean, maybe I wasn't paying good enough attention, but the way it kind of made it sound like she was also like bipolar. And it's like, well, if that's the case, man, they took that idea and they fucking dropped it right flat because, you didn't really get to see that go on with her. I mean, you get to see the anxiety, obviously.
Yeah.
And,
No, I think really what they were going for with Danny is that she has this grief, and it can't really be quelled by Christian. He's not there.
Well, even still, though, because again, like she's constantly, I don't know, because they in the opening they're saying how she's constantly, relying on Christian for emotional support, and he's a turd and he can't do that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
I think it's just, I don't know, maybe mixed cross wires on that.
Yeah, for me, like I do think that the ending is in some ways cathartic because it does have that element of she's found a family again. She's the May Queen because she was able to overcome the difficulties, and you can see it as retribution. Does she find retribution in the fact that she's committing Christian to this grisly demise of being paralyzed and sewed into a bear and set on fire? Or is Christian getting the ultimate like honor treatment, because it's honorary. This is, in their culture, this is honorary to participate in this, because it is you're completing what they call like completing the circle, and you're going to be starting anew, and it's honorary. And so I think like it's kind of interesting to see it from both ways, because is Danny seeing it as retribution? I'm fucking annoyed that he cheated on me and he wasn't there for me and I want him dead. Or is she seeing it now from the cult's perspective? I think you can see it both ways. I mean, I kind of lean towards retribution in a certain capacity, because at the end you get that like sinister smile of like, yeah, I fucking did it. But at this,
he didn't really cheat on her,
right? Exactly. Well, she doesn't know that, but yeah, and that brings up the ideas of rape and the like the interference with the cult as well. It's just you can as easily blame the cult for their separation in this in Sweden as well. Like, who knows what would have happened if they were able to work things out outside of Sweden? Would they have broken up? Probably. Would there have been an amicable relationship at that time? Yeah, probably. In Sweden, there's like the manipulation of the cult. You can see them at play. You know, there's that girl who's constantly trying to seduce Christian and perform some witchcraft of putting runes in his bed and cutting off her pubes and putting it in his meat pie and stuff.
You know, nothing better in your pastry than a pube.
I do like it too, because he's just kind of like, it's just a hair. It's okay. It's like, yuck.
No.
Definitely wouldn't continue eating that, even if it was just a hair.
It was like, oh, vintage 17.
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, you don't, like, she doesn't know that. She doesn't realize that he's been drugged and basically influenced to do this. She just sees what she sees, and it's like influenced too by the cult. They make her go see it.
I say it was also a great scene too, because as he's having sex with the girl, you know, they're copulating. The women are, it's like fucking Suspiria. They're there like naked and like, you know, moaning with him in pleasure, you know, to kind of like be like, this is what you need to do, and, you know, enjoy, give us a child. At the same time, after she sees it, Danny is moaning, but in pain and agony, and those that were following her around are doing the same thing too. And you got that great parallel, you know, between like, you know,
right, like
the pleasure and pain.
Yep, and the emotional, psychic connection that they have of they're in her pain, sharing in her pain, and she understands that, and that's kind of like the turning point too for her as the May Queen and acceptance into the cult. She sees that they understand her emotional pain, and she's accepted into that, and that's kind of like her being born again into this cult. And yeah, it's a great scene, great parallels there. I love the help from the naked women who are right there behind Christian, you know, making sure his thrusts are nice and deep, pushing his booty in there.
He also doesn't look like he's enjoying that at all.
Well, yeah, I think like, again, I think that is a part of the thing, is that like,
no, I know, but it's just funny like watching it though, because it's like, you know, like he's just like, no, here, old lady pushing his ass, like,
yeah,
faster, come on.
Yeah, it is disconcerting, and like, you know, it's because it is rape. He's under the influence. There's that whole scene right before that where he's at dinner and the guy claps in his face. He's like, "Why did you do that?" You know,
he's like, and he goes all wobbly bubbly.
Yeah, he's tripping balls at that time, and he's like having a terrible trip. Yeah, it's great. It sounds like a total nightmare.
Oh, what's this gonna make me do? It's gonna make you more open to things. Like, oh, he's gonna get pegged.
Yeah, you do see a lot of his ass, so, and full frontal nudity as well, hanging down.
Do you think Ari is like, now when you're running out of that tent, you gotta run for a little bit with your dang-a-lang swinging around? Put your hand over, like, oh, the embarrassment,
hanging dong, bouncing around. It's great. What do you think about the music from Hacks and Cloak?
It is good. It does a good job. It's very, very string heavy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cues are used to kind of not really generate jump scares, but to just build tension.
Yeah. A lot of like droning element to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good. I think it definitely suits the music. Definitely sets and the uneasiness and goes with the tone of the film pretty well.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it does a good job. And as I was saying, I actually watched this with headphones, and I really noticed when watching with headphones, the film does a great job of directioning the sound. So like you'll have Danny, Florence Pugh, right in the middle, and she's kind of like swiveling around, and the camera's turning with her as like the flutes are being played in the background, and you get the flutes actually going to the left with the direction or the right, and not straight up center. And it's really great because it really centers you as well as in the audience, like in this moment, really putting you in that same moment. I think that does a really good job of just like, again, putting you into the scene. Something that you don't often get when you just have music kind of blasting at you and it's front and center. And the other thing that I noticed too is there's a lot of reflection in this movie. You get a lot of mirror, a lot of intentional design set around the reflection of people, seeing many times seeing them reflected as they're talking to you. And I thought that the cinematography of that is just really interesting. And overall, the cinematography in Midsommar is very compelling.
It's great. If God, I was just say, and when I was messaging you, I'm like, when I said like the first act, pretty slow, and I wasn't really being attracted to to the film, I did say, what God did is Ari Aster know how to direct and get the most out of the cinematographers, because just like Hereditary, the film looks great. It's shot great, very interesting. It does have shots to it that really catch your eye. Like when they were coming into Sweden, you got that nice overhead shot of the car and like what's going on. It's kind of like Funny Games. It's got that nice
Yep.
Just depth to it.
Yeah.
Everything, the setting is incredibly simple, but it looks great. The color, it's well done. The film, I say, whether you like what Ari Aster does or not, at least from these, two films, he definitely has a flair to make things look great, and everything kind of come together as a film, as a whole.
So, on a scale of 0 to 10 tick-borne illnesses, what would you give Midsommar?
I'll give it an 8. I liked it a lot. I don't think it's like a life-changing film. I think it is a very good film, though. It's a slow burn, depending on how much you like slow burns, which we do here. I think at times, though, it can be kind of tedious. But I think when it gets to what's paying off, it works. The violence is minimal, but horrific and graphic in a realistic way. It's a newer kind of take on Wicker Man for today, minus the sing-songs. I think it works well. He does his own thing with the idea. The acting throughout, Florence Pugh, Jack Reynard, it's all great. Everyone's, really good. This is a really good film. Do I like it more than Hereditary? Probably not. But I think the film, all kidding aside from the intro, I do think this film does deserve the praise that it's gotten. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I do think Ari Aster does make a damn good film. Very eye-catching. Has a, always, has a great script, knows where he's going. Always pays off. It's really good, and I can't wait to check out his next film. He's definitely, with these two films, kind of gotten me hooked into what he does, because I do think he's got a special eye as of right now. Well, I'd give it an 8. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 9. I think it's a really good movie. I think I appreciated it more the second time around because I knew kind of what I was looking for, and so I knew to look at the details that were happening that I probably missed the first time I watched the movie. I think that, like I said, I think the opening of this movie is particularly harrowing. It's very unsettling, and one of the best scenes that I've seen that relates to death and grief that I could think of. It's very well done. And then I think that the rest of the movie, even though it's a take on the Wicker Man, I think it does its own thing. It's compelling in the way that it shows the workings of this ritualistic cult, and it works really well to set up this character development that doesn't need to be explicit. That's speaking for the theatrical cut, not the director's cut, and then kind of pays off that build with a great finale that I think forces you to think about, first of all, like what this cult is doing for Danny as a character, how she has been has felt emotionally neglected, and she does not have the support that she feels she needs in Christian. And it, kind of forces you to think about the state of how you are able to empathize with other people and the difficulty that can have and the strain that it can have on relationships. Because ultimately this movie is about grief and relationships and the strain that those things have and take the toll on your relationships. So it's a really, I think it's a compelling theme. I think it does a really good job with that, crafting the characters and the relationship and then breaking it down. And I think I don't know. I'm not sure. Do I like Midsommar more than Hereditary? I'm not sure. I think
As I said, I don't think he gave Hereditary.
Yeah, I think I do like Midsommar more than Hereditary. Because as much as I do like Hereditary, I do find that the third act goes in a direction that I don't necessarily like as much as the direction I wished it went in. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like Midsommar more, because I am fully invested in where this movie goes. So yeah, I'm one of those guys that's like, hey, Midsommar's a great movie.
Well, I was going to say, so maybe that'll take me the second watch, because all you were saying for the longest time was, Hereditary's better. Midsommar's good, but it's not Hereditary. Now you see it the second time, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it the second time, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe you do need a second watch a little bit down the way and see what you think. Because
I really did, like I said, I really did like it, but there were parts in the first act where I went and threw some shit in the garbage and took the piss.
Yeah,
because it was just like.
Well, I'm curious to see what we think about Beau is Afraid, which is next, the next episode next week.
You know how long that is?
3 hours. So I'm curious, because I've heard a lot of different things about it. I am not sure. I feel like this one is maybe a little bit less in my interests than Hereditary and Midsommar are.
A surrealist tragic comedy horror film.
Right.
That's like a fucking mouthful.
Right. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about it. And I've heard mixed things. I've heard people saying I've heard people come out of it and say they're not sure how they feel about it. They think they like it, but maybe not. So it kind of is, it's hard to say how we'll feel about it, but I'm interested to see it. So I guess we'll find out.
Well, it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, and I'm not the biggest Joaquin Phoenix fan.
You're not? Ladder 42? His best movie? No. Just kidding. Signs?
Come on.
Swing away.
You're forgetting
40. Sorry. I said ladder 42. It's ladder 49. I apologize. Didn't fact check.
You forgot the Joker.
Oh, no, I didn't forget the Joker. It's not his best movie. Ladder 42.
I still haven't seen the Joker.
No, I haven't either.
It just looks like a bad take on Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. Like all the clips I saw from it, it's literally just like they just took, again, Scorsese, like they took Taxi Driver and King Comedy, and that's what you got, and everyone thinks it's a fucking masterpiece, when it's probably just like, yeah.
I would rather do the Christopher Nolan trilogy than the Joker.
You know, as much as I do enjoy the Christopher Nolan trilogy, pretty fashy. It's pretty fashy.
We'll have to watch it again, because it's been a while. So,
but you know what I want to do? Because I mean, it's been populating, and I don't know why my Facebook Reels think I'm an old man. Batman 66.
Interesting.
Getting nice, Facebook Reels with the TV show, the Adam West TV show. It's hilarious. Now, you know what? That's what we should do. We should do the Adam West Batman movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb. You ever watch it?
No.
Then we have to do it. It's fucking great. You've literally never seen the Adam West Batman film?
No.
We have to do it. We really do now. It's so fucking good. It's hilarious.
We'll have to watch it. All right, so you'll want to check out our episode on Beau is Afraid next time, because we got to sit through a 3-hour movie. So
I'm going to come over and eat some popcorn.
There you go. So if you want to listen to that, you should subscribe to us on pretty much any podcasting app that you can think of. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, our home base at Anchor.fm, which is now Spotify. So subscribe to us on there. Leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We have an email address at bloodandblackrumPodcast@gmail.com, where you can write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover, and we'll take that into consideration. And, of course, you can donate to us at our Patreon page, patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. You can give us money, and we'll put it back towards beer, so we appreciate that, and thanks in advance. So hope you enjoyed our episode on Midsommar, and we hope to see you back next time for our episode on Beau is Afraid. Until then,
take care.